Okay, so today we're going to learn about reading and writing numbers. And when we say that, you're probably like, look, I understand, right? But there are some different ways that we read and write numbers depending on what situation we're in and to help us really understand place value better. So the first way that, and remember, I'm going to go back really quick. Remember how we talked about that there is a comma every third number, which shows us that separation in the periods. And then also you want to try, usually when I'm reading numbers, because sometimes our numbers, now that you're in fourth grade, you're going to have millions or 10 millions. We read them in chunks of 3. So look for the comma, just if you're reading it out loud, look for the comma and then read the 3 numbers before it. And then you'll say, like for this one, we'd say 125. You know how to read that. We see the comma, so you're thinking, what period is it in? It's in the thousands. So 125,379. Okay? So that's just if you're reading it out loud. Now let's talk about one way that we write numbers in its standard form. So the word standard just means it's the regular, it's the normal way. So when we write numbers in standard form, we just write our digits. So I'm copying from up here. And it's 125,000. I don't know why my 5 is a little teeny tiny guy like that, but 125,379. Okay, so we just rewrite it with our digits, standard form. Word form, we are going to write it out with letters. So the first thing I like to do with word form, my step 1, is to rewrite it in standard form just to help me focus. And then I'm going to read it out loud to make sure, because we're not going to read it. We're not going to write every single word every single number the way it looks. We're going to write it out the way that we would read it. So this is I told you up here, we're going to look for our comma, right? And then read the number in front of it. So 125, we're in the thousands period, so we'd say 125,000. Comma, also, commas in math are kind of like commas in language arts, where when we see a comma, we pause. So 125,000. So now let's write that. So 125,000. And when we're writing these, guys, we're also going to put the commas wherever we would in the number. So we put the comma after 1,000 because that's where we put it here in the number. Now let's read the second part. So we already got this. So 379. So let's write 379. And you don't have to, if you need to pause the video, if I write too fast and you're trying to copy, that's fine. And that way you can come back to it and do your best work. Now, we're going to move on to expanded form. Expanded is like stretched out. So that's how I remember. So again, I like to bring down my standard form number, 125,379. And what I do for expanded form, there's kind of 2 ways to do this. So I'm going to show you both. Method 1, method 2. So the first one is where I always start over here with my biggest place. And the digit in that place is a 1. And then I'm going to look, I'm basically taking all the values in each place and stretching it out like an addition equation. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more places. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my comma. And then I'll put a plus sign. My next one is a 2. So now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 20,000. My next one is a 5. Oh, I don't know why I put a comma here, but we do need a plus. Okay, now we need a 5. And how many more places? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm I'm gonna come down here, plus, what's next? 3. Oh no, that's a mistake too. I'm struggling. Okay, 300 plus 70 plus 9. Now what you'll notice, if you were paying close attention or you caught my mistake right here, is that here, we're gonna see that pattern of zeros that we talked about in our last lesson. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, and then 0. Okay, so you can write it out long, long, long. That's one way with expanded form. The other thing you can do is do it like a pyramid. Some students like that because it really helps them to make sure they get that correct number of zeros for the place. And what I mean by that, so here's my standard form. You're gonna want to write this really small so that you can fit them all, because we're gonna go down. So 1, 0, and I'm lining it up with my place value. So the value of this 1 is 100,000. I put my plus sign. Now we're gonna go to the 2. And you see how when we line it up by place value, we don't have to really even think, because we're just putting zeros for whatever's left. And then my plus sign. And then the 5. And then the plus sign. And then the 3. And the plus sign. And then the 7. Plus sign, 9. Okay? So you can see it's exactly the same if you compare these numbers across. This one just has that pyramid upside down, the triangle, to help us out. Okay? Either way is great. And again, that's expanded form. So expanded form is stretched out. Word form is when we write it the way that we would read it. And then standard form is the normal way. So let's go ahead and practice on 3 back here. So we have it written. What form is this? This is standard. So now we're going to do it in expanded and word. So let's go ahead and stretch it out. So we've got our first one is a 3. So we're gonna, the value of that 3 is 300,000. So let's go ahead, 300,000, and we're gonna put our plus sign. Now what's the value of this 7? So let's count back. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So the 7 is in the 10,000s place. So it's 70,000. Okay, plus sign. The 6, what place is it in? Ones, tens, hundred, thousands, and it's a 6, so it's 6,000. Okay, plus what's next? The 4, what place is it in? Ones, tens, hundreds, so we don't need a comma there. I'm just going to scoot down to my next line. You might have already had to do that, and that's totally okay. Plus 2, it's in the tens place, so it's a 20, and then plus 9. Okay, now word form. So let's go ahead. We're going to read that first period. It's 376. Let's write that. 376. And then we have our comma, and this is the thousands period. So it's 376,000. And remember, we're going to put that comma just like we would if we were writing the number, 376,000. And then let's read our second number, 429. So 429. Okay? All right. Next up, we're going to start with word form, and we're going to switch to standard and expanded. So when we're switching from word form, we're just going to do the opposite of what we're doing when we write it. So we're going to read it. I looked for the comma, same thing. So I'm going to go back from the comma. So 45,000. So I'm going to do 45, and then I'm going to put a comma, because this is all that's in our thousands period. Now we have 261, just like that. Okay. All right, expanded form. So we're going to look for the value of each digit. So the place of this 4 is the 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000s. So it is 40,000. I'll do my pyramid one this time. So 40,000 plus the 5. So we'll write the 5, and then we have 1, 2, 3 because it's in the thousands place. What's the value of this 2? It's in the ones, tenths, hundreds. Okay. Value of this 6, it's in the tens, and then the value of the 1. Okay. All right. This last one, this was a quick video, is an expanded, and we have to go first to standard. So we've got 900,000, so I'm going to write my 9. Now I'm going to look at it. So 900,000, so there's, and this is 3,000. Now, where would this 3 go? So if it's 3,000, so we have the ones period here to match here. Do you see that? So the 3 would go here. So that means if I'm switching to standard form, that this 0 is going to stay because we don't have any 10,000s written in our expanded form, but we still have to show that we have 0 10,000s. We can't just skip it, and I'll show you why in just a second. Okay, so now we have our 3,000, and we know that if we're switching now from the thousands period, that we're going to put our comma. We have 600, so I'm going to put the 6. Now before I rush, look, same thing. This is 5 ones. The 5 ones would go there, right? And we have 0 10s written in our equation, so we're going to put a 0 here and then put the 5 here. Now if I just skipped these, if I didn't put zeros, the number that we would create is this. And hopefully we all know, if you had done a job for me, I think you would way rather me pay you $903,605 than $9,365. That's a very different number. Because we have place value, we still need to put those zeros because they're showing that we don't have any of them. We don't have any 10,000s. We don't have any 10s. And so that's why we keep those zeros. And the same would be true if we switched between the forms. So for word form, let's look for, I'm going to rewrite it, our standard form that we just wrote, 903,605. So let's look for it. 903, so let's write it, 903,000. Okay, we're going to put our comma, and then our number is 605. So those are just some little details. This last problem, you guys, really is important because it showed us what we do if we're missing a value in one of those digits, okay? So make sure you understand what to do when you have a 0 there. If you're feeling unsure, you can just scroll back in the video, rewatch that part to help you, okay?